We'll welcome Colleen when she gets here. So I'm going to start this meeting. It's the Hamilton County Solid Waste Policy Committee meeting, Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. And as we usually do, why don't we do a round robin? We got a couple new faces in the room. So I'm the chair of the board. I am County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Greg Testerman, Health Commissioner for Hamilton County Public Health.
Matt Waller, Colerain Township Trustee.
Dominic Peebles, General Interest.
Mallory Garrissey, Generator Representative.
Michelle Watts, Hamilton County Resource Solid Waste Manager.
Brad Johnson, Director of Hamilton County Environmental Services.
All right, let's go around the room.
Dean Ferrier, voting.
Ashley Dove, Fiscal Analyst, Hamilton County Environmental Services.
Sam Plant, Program Coordinator, Hamilton County Resource. Julie Donna, Sustainability Manager, Hamilton County Environmental Services.
I'm Kristen Forsman, I'm the Business Specialist for Hamilton County Resource. Mary Baker, Assistant Manager for Hamilton County Resource.
Jack Megan, Community Coordinator for Hamilton County Resource.
Yvonne, Sheriff of Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office.
Alex Overdad, Hamilton County Environmental Services, Fiscal Manager.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. We will move on to our next item. I'm getting moved.
It's me, sorry.
Oh, all right. Wow, what's happening now? There's no need for that. All right, I'm gonna accept a motion to approve of the minutes we've all had a chance to review. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve the minutes from the August 14th, 2024 meeting as provided in the meeting packet.
I can second.
All right, any conversation about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to public comment. I understand we have a public commenter via Zoom.
We actually have two now.
Two via Zoom.
Yeah, the first is Carrie Davis,
Okay, got a pleasure of the floor for, is it 2 or 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okie dokie. I would like a little extension on that. I have a disability and I have breathing issues, so I'd like you to give me a little latitude on my comments. I am the director of the Greater Community Group and a facilitator for the Colerain Council of Neighborhoods. And I would like to issue a State of the Environment under the Solid Waste Policy Committee. To you all, I will be sending you a copy of this because I might not make it through it. As you enter for your holiday winter break, I would like each member to consider what subgroup they are representing and to ask themselves what they have done to reach out to that subgroup. Each subgroup is represented because the federal government put that in the rules to avoid corruption. And over the last 4 years, we have found we now have probably the most corrupt solid waste policy committee in the United States because the influence of landfill operators and haulers are prohibited from being on this committee, but they are being well represented. Mr. Matt Waller has accepted at least $7.5 thousand in campaign contributions from Rumpke, and I think it's probably closer to 14,000. Denise Driehaus has accepted over $10,000 in campaign contributions from Rumpke and accepted another about $5,000 from the law firm that represented Rumpke in a lawsuit against this very committee. So this is pretty disturbing. At this time, it appears that this committee is running a deficit. That deficit is largely attributable to Ms. Driehaus fighting against an increase in tipping fees from $1 to $4 per load, and $6 in Columbus is what they charge per load. So we are charging a meager 25%, even with the increase to $2 of what we are legally allowed to charge. And that is causing a deficit and a denial of services and programs for all of Hamilton County residents. I want to point out that Columbus just got $100 million recycling facility for Rumpke. With that, they also got a new museum center, and they got hundreds of thousands in scholarships for disadvantaged children to attend Ohio State University. And the reason Rumpke is building a recycling center in Columbus is because they have the highest standards, the strictest rules, and have a different mechanism for operating their landfills and garbage collection. Whereas in Hamilton County, we have the lowest standards, the lowest rules. So there was no need for Rumpke to put in a recycling center, a $100 million facility in Hamilton County, because our standards are so low. And this is,
Ms. Davis, we're gonna ask you to wrap up.
thank you, I will. This is due
You're well over your 3 minutes.
have rules. The last component of this is that we were denied so far any money from the Monsanto settlement, which operated right here in Hamilton County and had a landfill in Hamilton County. And so the state of our environment under the Solid Waste Committee is not good. Our record is deplorable. And I ask each member over the holiday break to please consider your position, your duties, and what you can do to turn this around. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. All right, who is our next speaker? Is that Marie?
Sam Kokosha, but I think it's Marie.
I think it's Marie. Hello, Marie.
Yes,
It's a
hi,
pleasure.
but this is my husband's computer and he doesn't want me to fool around with it. So yes, this is Marika Koshas. Some things we just have to do. I represent the Sierra Club, Miami Group, and the League of Women Voters. And I see that one person that I really was wanting to talk to is actually online today. I heard Molly Yeager speak about the Orange Bag Hefty program and a report that that has come out, I understand, to the city of Cincinnati. So I would like to encourage this body to have a report, and would love to hear what Molly has to say about the report and the time frame and the amounts, et cetera, et cetera. It was it is a big program. Hefty and Rumpke are putting a lot of time and energy into it, and I just would like to know if this is the way to go for our plastics, and is everything being done the correct way as far as recycling these plastics? So if Molly would like to respond to me now, otherwise I'd like for this to be an item on the agenda in the near future.
Yeah, I just turned to Michelle. Why don't we put it on the agenda so everyone will have the benefit of knowing that that conversation is going to be had at our next meeting. Thanks, Marie. Okay, are there any other folks for public comment? Okay, all right, very good. Let's move on to our next item, the resource revenue updates and analysis.
Yes, so we have the revenue through September, comparing 2024 and 2023. We have a little bit different trends than last year. We have a slight increase in the in-district tonnage, which has gone up about 4.6% over 2023, and then a decrease in the out-of-district tonnage, which has gone down about 1.7%. And the out-of-state has gone down about 3%. Overall, we're flat, almost as flat as you statistically could be, down about $3,000, which is less than 0.1% change of total dollars year over year.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to policy items for discussion. Michelle, I'm going to let you go through these.
Yeah, so the first item is the USCPA Swiffer grant. This application, it has a pretty quick turnaround. It is the second round of Swiffer funding, which stands for Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling. It does not just pertain to traditional, single stream recycling as you would think. It also is organics collection. And so this funding is for projects from 500,000 to 5 million. So it's a lot of money available. This may be the last time it's available. We don't know that this is going to come out for another round. And we feel like, with the organic study being published, that it's pretty good timing for us. It would be great if we had just a couple more months, but we don't, to, put in an application to fund, some of the recommendations that came out of the organic study. So, right now, we are looking at, 3 ideas. We've reached out to all 48, political subdivisions to talk to do a survey with them about yard trimmings, because every community has yard trimmings, whether they directly handle it or not. And we've heard from some communities that some of the barriers for them to collect more yard trimmings is just lack of equipment. And so we are looking into possible shared equipment. I reached out and the Hamilton County engineers agreed to store the equipment for us, because obviously we don't have a giant garage to put a grinder in. And so we did receive favorable responses from communities, and also some other good ideas of shared equipment that they could do. Now, you'll remember the organic study was really heavily focused on food scraps, but one of the things that came out was that we're gonna have a deficit of yard trimmings. We're not gonna have enough yard trimmings. We have enough yard trimmings, we just need to get them out of the landfill into the composting. So this is one idea to do that. The other idea is partnering with a municipality who already has a class 4 yard trimmings composting site, and getting the infrastructure that they need to compost just the food scraps from their community. We have 9 communities that have registered class 4 composting sites. I've reached out to all of them, and I have received a favorable response from at least one. So we're meeting with them tomorrow about the possibility of doing that. The other reason that we like that idea is that I think one of the barriers that's holding us back from developing composting is that there just isn't on the right scale, on a larger scale, a model that people can go to and say, hey, this is what it could be. This is how it works. This is how it smells. This is, or doesn't smell, more importantly. So this is, success. So we would like to work with a community that really knows what they're doing and make a model success so that it could be replicated in other areas. And then finally, the other thing that we're looking into pricing out are expanding food scrap drop-offs. So currently we have 20 food scrap drop-offs throughout Hamilton County. They're not operated by us or subsidized by us. They're either with a community or a business just has the drop off, or it is sometimes a drop off that is subscription based. What we'd like to do is expand the number of those, especially in communities, environmental justice communities, especially low income communities, and have more of those food scrap drop off sites in the county. And so we're looking at pricing that out as well. So we don't know, we're pulling together. The application is due December 20th. So we will be getting it together in the next few weeks. But I'm reaching out to you because usually when we apply for really large grants like this, we ask for the blessing of the policy. So any questions? Suggestions?
And thank you for bringing this forward. This is right in our wheelhouse. We've been talking about organics and food scraps for a while now. So I am 100% supportive of this. If there are locations in the community, albeit not associated with us necessarily, can we publicize those on our website so that people are familiar with where they? Yeah.
Yes, we have a food scrap drop off map on our website.
Oh, you do?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I need to go back on the website, I suppose. All right, good. So I just want to be as supportive of this as possible. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
This is Bruce Burno on Zoom. Am I allowed to speak just as an ordinary citizen?
We had our public comments
Okay,
section.
no, just on the compost issue, just a question. If you've been working with the Queen City Commons composting, and also Green Umbrella has a composting program, are you working with them?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Sure thing. In the future, feel free to, raise your hand during public comment. We're happy to give you 3 minutes. Okay, so do you need a motion from the
Yes,
board?
please.
All right, can I get a motion to support the Swiffer grant application?
I'll motion to support the USA EPA Swiffer grant application as described by Ms. Ball.
All right, any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, great, thank you.
So the next one is furthermore in grant season. So Ohio EPA has a market development grant. We've applied. This is one where they require a sponsor, either a city or a county to apply on their behalf. They can't, the private sector can't apply directly. So Mary's going to talk a little bit about the Go Zero application.
So Go Zero reached out to us. They are a local compost hauler. But they've been looking for sites to kind of expand in Hamilton County. So they are working with 144 Farms, which is in Spring Grove Village. And so they're gonna sublease land from them and want to start a class 4 yard trimmings compost program. So in order to do that, they would need to do a little bit of engineering work and construction work and then buy equipment. So the hope is that they'll start with a class 4, and then if that goes well, they'd like to eventually apply for class 2, which would allow them to accept food scraps, but this grant specifically is for a class 4. So yeah, that's what they're asking us for us to apply on their behalf. 144 Farms. is the name of the farm. I don't think they have a good website, but I can send you the location.
Have they been around for a while?
144 Farms has, yes.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments? Okay, would like to get a motion to approve of the Ohio EPA Market Development Grant for Go Zero.
I will make the motion.
Second.
All right, any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And the last policy item is the 2025 meeting dates. I put them on the agenda. They're February 19th, May 21st, August 20th, and November 19th, all at 3 p.m. So since we voted on them last year, I thought it would be
Oh, we
good.
got to vote on the dates.
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, we need a motion to vote on the dates.
It's next year, so I'm not looking that far, so I'll say yay for me.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Very good, and I need a second. I'll second. Okay, very good, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. All right, informational items.
So the first item is Howard Miller from the city of Cincinnati. He's going to give an update on their zero waste programming. I'm going to pull up his PowerPoint and share it so folks online can see.
Welcome.
Hi,
Good.
While Michelle's pulling that up, I'll do a quick introduction. I'm Howard Miller. I'm with the city of Cincinnati Office of Environment and Sustainability. I'm an environmental manager with the office, and I oversee our what we call zero waste program. And our zero waste program, as you'll see, encompasses a lot of different initiatives and sub-programs. This ties into our Green Cincinnati Plan of 2023. As a kind of an overarching program, we named it Zero Waste Focus Area. But I just wanted to provide to the committee an update of where we're at, some of our observations, some of our challenges, and what we're working on, so that as a jurisdiction of Hamilton County, there may be opportunities to work together and find synergies to improve waste diversion. This is me. I just went over that slide, so you can go to the next one. So under the zero waste focus area in Green Cincinnati Plan, just to set the table here, we have 3 goals. I'm just gonna bring up 2 of the goals today. First is waste diversion. We want to divert 10% by 2028. We have 4 strategies that you can see there. Some of these strategies are going to be much more critical than others. I'd like to pull out the multifamily building, and that's really when we talk about 5 units or more, the commercial side of multifamily. The last bullet is also really important by building capacity of recycling and reuse workforce. If you're familiar with the Green Cincinnati Plan, one of the overarching themes is workforce, green workforce, and that's something that we see is a common thread among everything that we're doing in the environment and sustainability area. So that's a really important piece of what we're doing as well. Our next goal. One back, please.
I don't know why it's not going, I'm sorry.
Well, why don't you just talk us through it?
Well, yeah, well, you can, I'll try and do the best I can. Some of the stuff I do not have 100% memorized. The next slide, the next goal we wanted to talk about was organics. We want to increase organics diversion by 50% in 2028. We have multiple strategies on doing that. One of the big ones connects with what Michelle has been talking about here today with both your organic study, the Swiffer grant, the Ohio Recyclers grant. We need siting. We need a facility or facilities locally that we have a place to actually process. I think we have interest through third parties like Go Zero, who's applying, who wants to have the county apply on behalf of the Ohio Recyclers grant. They're known for collection, but they need to also be able to provide processing services. So the processing piece is really, really huge. We also have some other strategies as well, but that's probably the key strategy. Let's see if we can.
Sorry, my computer is completely frozen. I think it's because I had 2 PowerPoints open and it doesn't like that.
You are sharing. Stop. Yeah, so that composting infrastructure is really, really important. Of course, our parks department is utilizing biochar now. They're trying to get that facility fully operational. And then at some point, they will introduce amending the biochar with compost. And then, of course, diverting food waste. So those are our big strategies for organics. The big reason why we want to divert organics is that we want to, it's recyclable, it's reusable, we can create a circular economy, but more importantly, we want to keep it out of the landfill because it creates methane gas. And that is, it's small in comparison to our buildings and our transportation emissions, but it's still an area that we can achieve greenhouse gas reductions. And so we need to go after it. Next slide, please. I got it right here. Current waste program.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. This is a laundry list of what our office is doing right now. Most of you are aware that we do the residential curbside. We're servicing around just under 70,000 households on a monthly basis. Commercial waste program you may not be aware of. That is intended, one of the big objectives of that program is to divert commercial waste from the landfill. The way the program works is there is a fee to be part of the franchise, but you are exempt from the fee when you recycle. That fee is 20% of our franchise holders' gross revenues. So that's a pretty big savings to their customers. We're also expanding our corner cans. You'll see that we have over 100 corner cans in approximately 8 districts. We're gonna be ramping this up. We're gonna be replacing the cans in Northside. We want to be adding cans to College Hill. And we're probably gonna be adding cans into our central business district. City operations, we have to look at ourselves and what we're doing for recycling. We're making a big push right now to refresh city operations, add more facilities, include more champions. We have in the city about 170 staffed facility locations. So we're almost like a little, that's a campus in itself. And we can push the needle there. Right now, we have about 19 drop-off locations with 31 dumpsters. We're averaging from those drop-off locations about 700 tons a year. That's pretty good. Interior bin offerings. This is how we're approaching, in Cincinnati, we have, disadvantaged communities, that, we refer to as rising communities. We have 15 that we're focusing on. So we're trying to look at single family, 2 to 4 family, and, our commercial multifamily through interior bin offerings. This is where we send out mailers. And on request from the mailers, we give a household unit, an interior bin, 9-gallon bin. The importance of this is many of these disadvantaged communities aren't going to pay for an interior bin in order to put recycled materials in and get it to the curb in their cart or get it to a dumpster if they have it on site. So this is a key mechanism of facilitating recycling. We're doing multiple pilots and plan to do additional pilots on multifamily. We've had great success working with Gaslight Properties in Clifton. We've done 2 of their apartment complexes, or we did 1 apartment complex. We're working on another. We're hoping to grow that. Continue to do our source separated yard waste. We have good news there. We had a little bit of a conundrum with our material being actually placed eventually in a landfill. It's now going to BZAC, and that relationship seems to be working out well. It's not being composted, but it is being used as part of mulch. We're working currently on a USDA composting grant. This is, we're working, Queen City Commons mentioned earlier. We're working with them. We're working with Green Umbrella and other partners to divert food waste. This is primarily a food waste grant, working to establish bioreactors at different facilities. And then the last thing we're working on with our environmental advisory board is a zero waste policy advancement. We have several policies that we would like to see be brought before city council. So that's what we're working on. Next slide, please. This is a little bit of a data dump. The bottom line here is over the last 4 years, residents, we are averaging about a 60% participation rate. Currently, we're at 58%. The big number and the big problem is at the bottom is our 20+ unit structures. We're way below 5%. And that is when you look at actually household units in those structures, that's a real healthy number. That's in the several thousands of units that we're not touching very well. Next slide, please. This is our annual curbside tonnage data. So over 2018 to 2022, we're averaging about 71,000 tons of material that's landfill. Of that, 10,000 is yard waste, 12,000 is food waste. We're able to capture and divert from the landfill about 14,000 tons of recycled material on average, and about almost 6,000 tons of source separated yard waste. And so I'd like to say that this has been pretty consistent, and even I don't have all the data aggregated for the last 2023 and what we have for 2024, but it's about the same. We're in the same ballpark. Next slide, please. So the real observations here, we're at about 60% citywide recycling. The way we're going to get to the next level is through large multifamily participation, and that's really one of the biggest focus areas we're working on right now in our office is coming at multifamily in several different directions. And it's going to be policy, it's going to be pilots, it's going to be bin offerings, etc. The other big observation is about 31% of the city's waste stream is going, organics waste stream is going straight to the landfill. And almost a third, that really pushes us to have to look towards enhancements to organics collection and processing. We're 100% in support and have tried to work with the county on a processing facility We're working with partners on, collection and smaller processing. We have, I mentioned our USDA pilot. We will be doing, drop-offs with that. And so we know that, this is the second biggest area we're working on, is identifying a path forward for organics. Next slide, please. These opportunities, these are grant opportunities we're looking to take advantage of. We have a grant in with the Recycling Partnership to do additional pilot studies at multifamily buildings. We're on the cusp of a cooperative agreement with them that would start the work in January 2025. We have recently submitted a food rescue and composting grant to the USDA. We feel that's very competitive. That's working with Last Mile Food Rescue to divert food loads that are consumable but would otherwise go to the landfill. They call them distressed food loads, perfectly edible food, but they don't know what to do with it. We're also looking to work with another partner to do in-vessel composting. So just exploring ways to either rescue food in it where we can't. The in-vessel project is to divert food waste, so it's all food related. We are also working on grants, just as you all at the county level are, for Ohio Recycles. We are going after an interior bin offering grant for 2 to 4 family buildings in our disadvantaged communities. Statistically, we've shown this, I forgot to mention this, statistically, we've shown that this works. This does move the needle, so that's why we're continuing to do bin offerings and grow bin offerings. And so that's due just right after Thanksgiving. We're on track to get that submitted. And then we're also going after an EPA Swiffer grant, but this is gonna be for replacing our recycling cart fleet. Our recycling cart fleet, we have close to 100,000 carts out there. About 80,000 of them are well beyond their 10-year warranty. They're approaching, I believe, 13, 14 years old. And they're starting to break in an accelerated rate. And just crunching the numbers, it makes more sense to swap out those 80,000 carts with new carts. Of course, the old carts would be recycled and a high percentage of them would go into newer carts. So we are going after a complete cart replacement. This adds up, 80,000 carts at about $55 a cart plus assembly and distribution, you're millions of dollars to do that. And so that is due later in December. So that's kind of the status of what the city's up to with recycling. In terms of OES's programming, there are other considerations that we are working on with, I'm sure many of you have, read the Futures Commission's report on financial aspects of our programming, as well as other more policy related aspects of our programming. But this is, from a, nuts and bolts, this is what our office is doing day to day. I appreciate all your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for the update. Really appreciate it. Are there any questions?
No questions for me. Appreciate it though.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming in. All right, the next item is the organic feasibility study.
Yes, so this, I don't have a PowerPoint for it. If you remember, Jamie came at the last meeting, gave you a pretty long presentation about the phase 1 and phase 2. I just want to give you an update of where it's at. So Moody Engineering out of Columbus did conduct a site search to kind of look and see, are there sites out there that could possibly be made into compost sites. They initially started with publicly owned brownfield sites and then also sites that were gathered during the stakeholder input. And there were a few sites that would be doable, but nothing came out as, oh, this is the perfect site. So they are going back and kind of going down different avenues of trying to find some other sites, possibly doing more industrial, like smaller sites that would be for the in-vessel composting instead of the aerated static piles. The other thing that is simultaneously happening that's going to help with that is the public engagement. So they have a firm who is going to kind of do the wrap-up public engagement, kind of follow up with all the stakeholder input, kind of talk about where we're at, but then also kind of crowdsource the, we're looking for this kind of site to do this. Does anyone have, we've gotten so many comments from people or ideas or, have you thought about this? Or, I know this is going on. So that will happen at the same time as wrapping it up and letting people know, but also what the study showed, but also trying to get some more public input on that. And then finally, the piece of the public-private partnership. So that's what I'll be coming to you in February with. What does that look like? How is the county involved? What are some options? And because we've gone with a more decentralized approach, they're bringing in Brenda Platt from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, who's a community composting expert. And her team knows a lot about how to facilitate and other models of how that might work in other areas of the country. So what is our role? It might not necessarily be the standard, we're gonna buy land and, lease it out for someone else to compost on. It may look different than that. So they're gonna pull together some options for us. Any questions about?
So I have a question. When you talk about sites, first of all, how many I know it's a moving target, but how many generally? And how big of a site do you need at the minimum?
So the study came out that we would want to start with 3 sites from 6 to 8 acres on the sites. Ideally, one of those sites being much larger, maybe 25 acres that could be expanded in the future should that, come about. But 6 to 8 acres. But also not smack dab in a residential neighborhood, preferably. There's some caveats that make it really hard. When you do public searches for publicly owned land that's 6 to 8 acres, it's all like Mount Airy Forest and, parks that obviously we're not gonna develop a compost site on. So, it's challenging. Hamilton County is very built out. And when we're looking at this smaller scale, when we were looking regionally, if you do one big site, then it makes sense to maybe put it in one of our neighboring counties or even states. But if you're just doing the smaller sites, does it make sense to, drive all the way out to Claremont County for a 6-acre plot? So it's a little more challenging.
And could you just, so that people that are listening and in the audience can better understand, what exactly would be built out on the site?
So the model that came to the top was aerated static piles. And what Coker Composting did was look at 3 different iterations of that. So a urban, a suburban, and a rural in Hamilton County site. All of the 3 models would have some sort of covered area for receiving. It would have concrete and a covered area for receiving food scraps and mixing. And then the more urban you get, then everything's covered. So you're thinking think about not temporary buildings, almost like those buildings that look like a giant tent. I'm sure there's a real term for them, but kind of those that are, somewhat open on the sides, but covered on top, so you're not getting rainwater. And that equipment can drive in and out of. The aerated static piles are bays. So they can be constructed out of a lot of things, but if you can think of concrete blocks or something like that, where you've got bays, and then you have pipes, basically PVC pipes that go underneath that provide aeration underneath, so that you're not doing as much turning of the piles. It's less manpower. And then you have storage area for finished compost. So even once it's out of the aerated static piles, it's considered a compost product, but you still want it to cure. So you have to have space for that to store. And then you have to have areas that trucks can come in and out for delivery, but then also picking up the finished compost. So it needs to be a easily, movable site that you can move large equipment around in.
Any other questions? Okay, all right, great, thank you. And so we'll follow up with more information.
Yeah, the February meeting.
Okay, great. The next item is the Southwest Ohio Pollution Prevention Internship Update.
All right, Greg, they're all in different spots.
Fun.
Do you want to do it? All right, so I asked Kristen Horseman to come in and give an overview of our Southwest Ohio Pollution Prevention Internship Program. There's a lot of great work happening that's not really been discussed here that you all don't really get to hear about. So Kristen is in the midst of recruiting for the 2025 cycle. So that would be good to have her come in and present. Very good.
Welcome, Sean. Hi, everyone. Like I said, Kristen Horseman, the business specialist here at Hamilton County Resource. So just an overview of the Southwest Ohio Pollution Prevention Internship Program, or P2 for short. It is a collaborative program between counties. So it's Hamilton County Solid Waste District, as well as Butler County and Adams-Claremont County Solid Waste Districts. So we all work together to kind of create a cohort of students so that it's not just one student going off on their own. We get about 4 or 5 interns per year. So they get to come together at the beginning and end of their project. So the project itself pairs businesses or host companies with college students that work on sustainability projects with a waste reduction focus. So this is companies that want to work on sustainability projects, but maybe don't have the staff time or funding to do so regularly. So we kind of eliminate some of those barriers to entry by helping hire, train, and pay for the interns. So typically there are about 4 to 5 host companies and interns total. We typically host 2 here in Hamilton County. It's a 12-week project starting from mid-May to early August, so summer internship. And it begins with a 2-day training workshop hosted by Hamilton County. And so these are just a few photos from our training workshop this year. It covers all sorts of sustainability topics that we know that the projects want to dive into, and kind of just gives them a little bit more information beyond what they may have learned in their classroom setting. So there is, I do a lot of the training, as well as some internal guest speakers like Brad and Mary, but we also have some external speakers as well. This year we had someone come in and talk about scope 3 reporting, which is what a lot of the projects are starting to dive into as that comes down the pipeline for a lot of businesses. We also try to do a tour of a manufacturing facility somewhere within the 4 counties. And so this past year, we did a tour of Close the Loop, which is actually in Northern Kentucky. So just to kind of give them some experience with the manufacturing floor if they have not been in one yet. Next slide. And then this is just some photos from their final presentation. So starts with that training workshop. They go off and work for the 12 weeks and then come back together at the end of the summer and present to each other, to all the different counties and all the different businesses that were involved in the program. So the first project that we had this past summer, I'll kind of go into the Hamilton County ones a little bit more in depth than the others, but it was with Ultifiber. So as you all know, they're a telecommunications company local to the area. Their project was focusing a lot on their carbon footprint of the new equipment that they're giving to their customers, and comparing the carbon footprint to the old equipment that they used to give to their customers, and seeing if they're actually heading in the right direction. That the intern also implemented a reusable round trip bin and rolling poly bin project, which I'll show some photos of on the next slide, which will help clarify what that is. And the intern also created a waste stream inventory to kind of see what their next steps would be as far as waste reduction. So in the top left corner there, that was the cardboard gaylords that they were using to collect their equipment. It was kind of hard on the employees because they had to reach down into the bottom to gently set the equipment down in, because they were not trying to damage their own equipment. And they were only able to be used a few times before they were thrown away. So the intern worked on finding a really good solution, which is that second picture there in the middle, which is called a rolling poly bin. It's spring loaded, so all of the equipment is always at the top, no matter how full it is. So it's a lot easier on the employee and it's a reusable option. And then on the bottom picture there, that is their reusable round totes. They were just using cardboard boxes to go between Florence and like Norwood area every single day. That was the only trips. They were just going back and forth. So they're like, why don't we just make this really easy and make those reusable totes? That would be a lot sturdier and easier to carry. I just threw some of the information up there that the intern collected just to show you the really high quality work that these interns are running the companies. That's that. And then the next one that was here in Hamilton County was called Revision Collective. They're a venture capital company that is the parent of 3 companies, which includes Engage, which is a B Corp certified business. The intern there completed GHG assessments for all the companies under their portfolio and made suggestions for improvements. They also performed a waste audit and made suggestions for waste reduction, as well as educated employees through various events and newsletters. And once again, just some data thrown up there of what their presentations looked like. It was really high quality data that they were only able to accomplish in 12 weeks, which is very impressive for 3 different companies. All right, and then these are the ones that were outside of Hamilton County, so I'll just touch on those briefly. Hamilton by Gunnebo is a physical safe manufacturer. They're based in Sweden, so they were getting a lot of pressure to be sustainable. So the intern there compiled a list of all the materials and parts required to manufacture a few focused products and conducted life cycle assessments on those physical safety units. And then ThyssenKrupp Bilstein is a shock absorber manufacturer. They are working towards a 3-phased sustainability goal. The first one being carbon neutrality in their operations, which they've already achieved. Through the intern either this year or last year, they participated twice so far. Their second phase was zero waste to landfill, which they have also accomplished because of those interns. And then their third phase is carbon neutrality across their supply chain, which they're still working towards. The previous intern improved their current waste recycling and compost collection systems, implemented a plastic film recycling program, implemented a recycling program for hard to recycle byproducts of some of their manufacturing. It was kind of an odd piece of plastic that they were producing a lot of. And then also, once again, communicated sustainability to the employees. And last one is Molson Coors, which is a beverage company. They completed a vent mapping project to inform their air quality permit application so that they could renew their air quality permits. They also implemented a safe aerosol recycling system and worked towards their free goals. Right, and so that kind of covers what we did this past summer, and we are currently accepting applications for 2025. If you know any businesses, especially manufacturers that might be interested. We have a tentative deadline of kind of the end of December. It always tends to get pushed a little bit towards January, but the sooner they apply, the better. And it's a very simple application. Really just want to hear kind of what sort of project you want to work on, but it's not very complicated. So, you know, anyone that's interested, we share. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Sounds like a great program. Yeah, thanks for coming in. It's great. Okay, we're gonna move on to Waste Reduction Innovation Grant update.
Yes, and this is attachment C in the packet. We had one grant that we gave since the last meeting. And it was for St. Francis Seraph Catholic Church School and Ministry. So it's actually 3. It's a church, it's a school, and it's like a food pantry. And Bob Getter, who most of you know, wrote this application, so, he knew everything to write. But it's really focused on recycling in those three areas, and in three different buildings. It was for $3,300.
Where is this located? Is this the one downtown and over the run?
Good question.
Yeah, I think it is.
Over the run.
You could look in the application.
Yeah, we're getting a head nod from it. Yeah, this is the one over the Rhine on Liberty, right? Yeah. Okay, any questions? All right, very nice. Yeah, good.
We need to okay that, or is that?
It's all right. It's under 50,000.
Yeah. All right. The last thing, second to last, is the upcoming meeting, which is Wednesday, February 19th at 3 o'clock. That's part of the schedule that you already provided to us. Gonna keep meeting here for the time being, correct?
We're a year out at least.
We do have a bit of a move going on at the county, involving environmental offices, public health offices, out to the Mercy Building out in Bond Hill, but we're not there yet, so we'll continue to meet here. The other digs are,
Gorgeous.
they're very nice. They're, now, the county administration, by the way, is not moving to the new site, so I regret that, but it's gonna be very nice for everybody else, so. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we're not there yet. Is there anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna motion to adjourn.
Very good.
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We need to vote on adjournment.
Oh, heaven.